Well, good morning and welcome to Fox 29 News Now on this Wednesday morning. It is March the 20th at around 10 a.m. This is a live look over the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. I'm going to jump into some local news. Getting to work in the morning is stressful enough, but imagine waking up to find that your tires have been slashed. That nightmare became a reality for people living in West Philadelphia. Lauren Johnson was live at Southwest Detectives, and here is her report.
Well, yeah, we drove the 7 blocks up and down this area to find the cars that are affected by this and check out what we found. Here's really what's happening along this block. 2 slashed tires, the work of 2 men. Police say they caught them on surveillance video around 1 a.m. Tuesday morning. It was in the 5700 block of Media Street in West Philly. The men, one wearing all black and the other in a white jacket, were walking westbound and doing damage in these 7 blocks. The majority of the cars were hit on this side, the south side of the street.
It's a heinous act. I mean, senseless. I mean, working people here now have to incur this additional expense, probably, under their deductible, which is, it's right out of pocket now, because it seems like for the most part it was just the 2 tires on the south side of the street that was parked towards the curb.
So police say they suspect the vandals did about $500 worth of damage to each car, if not more, depending on the car. They say they are working diligently to find these 2 men, but they are asking for the public's help. They want your video footage if you have any, or phone calls with reports of your personal damage if you happen to leave yesterday before speaking with police. They're also asking people to monitor social media. You know, sometimes people go on there as a playground of sorts and they want to post their bragging rights. So check this out. This one here, a Cadillac. We showed you earlier a pickup truck, and police tell us cars, trucks, old, new, luxury cars, middle of the road. Really, these vandals didn't spare anyone, and that's why police say they want to make sure they find them. So if you have any information, you're asked to call them. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Lauren Johnson. And now this happened overnight. 2 men are dead after a shooting. This was in the Kensington section of Philadelphia around 11:30 last night at the intersection of F Street and Ontario Streets. Police say the 18-year-old and 26-year-old were shot by possibly more than one gun. Detectives say it is unclear what the relationship is between the 2 victims. Captain Scott Small gave us some of the details. Here's a clip of that.
This is a double homicide. An 18-year-old and 26-year-old, both male, shot, both pronounced dead at Temple Hospital. We don't have a description of a shooter or shooters at this time. However, the driver of the private vehicle that drove the 26-year-old victim to the hospital, he is being transported to Homicide as a potential witness, and that vehicle is being held as part of the crime scene at Temple Hospital.
Well, out in Bucks County, police say someone's passing around fake bills. They've been spotted in Doylestown and Newtown Township. Newtown police sent us this picture of the man who was seen using the phony cash. Most people we talked to say they didn't think they'd be able to tell the difference, but many say they are using cards more than cash.
Stick with my credit card.
Usually I use a card, so I don't have to concern myself. And the money that I do get, I'll get at the ATM, and I'm sure that the bank is checking that. So I feel like I'm on the safer side.
Police from about half a dozen jurisdictions say they're working together and closing in on at least one group passing around the counterfeits. Well, as we look over the Ben Franklin Parkway here in Philadelphia, you can see the Art Museum, and it's nice and sunny. Let's also switch over to right here in Old City above our station here at Fox 29. Lots of sun out. The area is slated for partly cloudy today morning ahead of overcast afternoon. Temperatures are expected to reach 53 degrees and hover around that range for the next several days. Let's look at our radar. Not too many storm systems. You see, it's nice and sunny. Might be something coming through later on. Let's jump to our current temperatures, where we have 41 in Philadelphia. Up in Mount Pocono, it's 38. Out in Reading, it got 40 degrees. Down in Wildwood, it's a nice 46 degrees. And I'll run through some slides here just so you can take a look in case you're not from this direct area. You can take a look at what's going on. The northeast temperatures. And then we jump into the United States. So as you might have seen there, rain is expected to return to the forecast on Thursday. Friday and Saturday, meanwhile, we'll see a mix of sun, clouds, and high winds. I am no weather expert, so make sure you download that updated Fox 29 Weather Authority app for the latest forecast. It has a lot of awesome new features that you can check out. You won't regret downloading this app. You'll see the radar and everything live for your area and what is to be expected. So definitely take a look at that. Well, is Joe Biden edging closer to running for president? A lot of signs are pointing in that direction. Doug Luzader reported from Washington this morning with Fox 29 Good Day.
Said he's going to run for president yet last night.
He hasn't, but he's been heavily hinting or talking around it, and people have been wondering. So he's been considering throwing his hat in the ring for 2020, and now a report this morning, well, the Wall Street Journal is saying that he's laying the groundwork to make it happen.
Well, we already knew that, Wall Street Journal.
Doug, seriously, how long can he drag this out? Why do you think he's waiting so long? What's the holdup? He already had a slip-up in Delaware.
Yeah. The thing that's new about this, and you're right, we've been reporting for a while that he's been flirting with this. What's new about this, though, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that he is specifically reaching out to donors now, which, of course, is kind of the last thing that you have to do in order to get your ducks in a row to run for president.
No one thinking about running as a Democrat in 2020 knows more about what they're in for than former VP Joe Biden, and he is very close now to making it happen.
Listen, you hear what I hear. Yeah. 99.9. There's always a chance that he wakes up in April and says, nah, not going. So just remember that. But he's telling people he is.
And the Wall Street Journal says he is telling top Democratic donors that he plans to run, but he needs their money. Mr. Biden has expressed concern to these people that he wouldn't be able to raise millions of dollars in online donations immediately the way some other Democratic candidates have.
To hit the ground running on day one. Thank you for your question.
And look what Biden's up against on fundraising. Former Congressman Beto O'Rourke raised $6.1 million in a day when he launched. Bernie Sanders did almost the same, $5.9 million. And whoever wins the nomination will have to face a well-heeled President Trump, who is heading to the swing state of Ohio today to do some early fundraising himself. But some say Biden's bigger problem with Democratic activists may be how he stacks up against this growing field, specifically his age, his race, and his gender.
I have my doubts because the party wants younger, women, minorities, and Biden is none of those. And you listen to his speeches, he knows he's got a lot of liability.
But what he does have going for him, though, is his political identity. You look at every poll of prospective Democrats running, and Biden is at the very, very top. And I'll add this little nugget. The Wall Street Journal says the former vice president's team is scouting out a location for his campaign headquarters. The leading contender is, Mike and Alex?
Philadelphia.
Delaware.
Philadelphia.
Oh.
Boom.
Okay.
Nicely done. Could you find a worse picture of our former vice president, the one next to you?
He looks angry.
You know, here's the thing, and I will defend this picture, and I'll tell you why.
All right.
We spent a long time this morning going through our whole bank of photos to find a picture where Biden didn't look kind of angry. You know, he kind of gets that, that kind of intensity going sometimes when he's speaking. This was one of the more neutral poses we could find of Joe Biden.
Wow, I thought he makes jokes, and his comments sometimes get people laughing.
How about when he was leaning into former President Obama's ear and went,
There's a lot of memes for the both of them.
As we switch gears into our business, let's take a look at the Dow Jones. This morning we focused on putting the brakes on a popular workout, why Peloton is being sued by some of music's biggest names. Christina Partsinevelos reports from the Fox Business Network studios.
Okay, you see their commercials all the time where the guy's walking across his living room or the woman's, got her sweatshirt on and they go get on a bicycle and they pedal. The Peloton commercials, you will roll it here.
And people talk about them all the time, too. And they love that you can get certain classes, right? And there's instructors and you just watch and it feels like you're in a class. Oh, this commercial,
yes. One of the keys is they play great music while you're pedaling, right?
And a lot of the classes are based on the music choices.
But there's a problem now with the music, Christina. And what is that problem?
Because it's copyright infringement and they're being sued by a group of music publishers. That's the problem. You gotta get permission. Exactly.
So,
exactly.
What movie or music companies, do you have specifics on that or not?
Or what kind of songs?
Well, they represent not specific songs, but they represent a lot of artists like Lady Gaga, Drake, to name a few. Justin Bieber's in the mix. They're suing in a New York court, seeking $150 million in damages because they claim that Peloton went ahead, used the music without permission in over 1,000 streaming fitness videos. And I know you guys are talking about the bike and the commercial that
Yeah.
you just showed. I've seen the commercial too, and I will admit that I got hyped for it. I was like,
Me too.
okay, let's see how much this is. The bikes go from anywhere between $2,200 all the way to $2,700. That's not including the monthly fee, which is $39 a month, just to get access to those free interactive spinning classes.
Well, if I'm paying all that, then I want to be able to listen to the music I want to listen to on the bike.
Well, yeah. Well, how's this going to get resolved?
Well, you're going to have Peloton go to court and say that they somehow got access to it in the legal way, but you have a lot of well-known publishers saying, no, you stole that music without asking permission.
true.
You got to pay royalties, all these other things. So it's going to be a war going
They're
forward.
making money
Maybe
off.
Peloton, exactly.
Well,
Yeah,
here's
because think, go ahead.
Well, this is what I'm wondering, because this is like the trend now. So you have Soul Cycle, they play music. The other gym classes, like, is this
Well,
going to
yeah.
become, how specific are they going to get? Because Soul Cycle brands offer
Every
different music
aerobics
choices.
class plays music.
Yeah.
Well, this is now because Peloton, they're claiming that Peloton purposely got people to join the Peloton world because of the music. The music and the exclusive playlists in those videos were a draw for a lot of these people. But this could be a major sign for the future going forward, because it's not just Peloton. There's even it's called, I think, Get Out of the Mirror, and it's a mirror where you watch yourself do fitness, and then there's also an instructor that shows up on the mirror.
What?
So
That
it's the
sounds amazing.
future.
Like a hologram?
Yeah, again, it's a hologram, exactly. I looked into it, and then I'm like, oh, this is all way too expensive.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
going to
gotta
stick to
be.
Planet Fitness at $10 a month. But it's the future, interactive fitness videos.
And timing is interesting because Peloton, aren't they about to go public in like a week?
Yeah.
Very good. Yes, they are about to go public at the second half of the year, actually. So they're they're being valued at close to $4 billion.
Well,
I don't
thank
know about
you
after this.
for that info, Martha Stewart. Alex.
I'm just saying. I read it.
All right, Christina. Good job.
Neighbors and friends gathered to help a Camden County family in need. At 18 months old, Luke DeFilippo was diagnosed with a brain tumor and other health issues. Doctors told his parents there was no chance of survival, but Luke defied those odds. He stopped growing at 5 years old and just celebrated his 17th birthday. Luke's mom says he requires constant watch and needs more space in the family's 900 square foot home in Audubon. And that's where a room for Luke comes in.
We just need to be a space where we can have a common area where he can be free to move about. When they all jumped in and said, let's go for it, I felt really encouraged, and that's very heartwarming to me.
Renovations to accommodate Luke will cost about $150,000. Last night, a fundraising group hosted an event, Dine and Donate, to continue their work helping Luke's family. Luke's mom says it takes a village, and thankfully the family have found theirs. Well, more students at Temple University have been diagnosed with the mumps. The Philadelphia Health Department says now 67 students have been infected. As a result, Temple University is now requiring students to get 2 doses of the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine. Health officials are urging students to get plenty of rest, drink lots of water, and stay away from others who may be sick. Over to some entertainment news. Amy Schumer's Netflix comedy special, Growing, just came out, and she reveals a lot about her personal life, including her pregnancy and marriage. But the one revelation that surprised a lot of people, her husband Chris Fisher was recently diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. These are pictures of Amy and her husband that she posted on Instagram. She says there were some signs early on. She gave one example, saying he reacted in an unusual way one time when she fell down. But she says all of the characteristics that make it clear that he's on the spectrum are all reasons that she fell madly in love with him. So how is autism spectrum disorder different in adults? Dr. Anne-Marie Clark, psychologist and corporate officer, Spin's Autism Center for Excellence, joins Fox 29 Good Day to discuss, and we'll have that clip coming up in just a few moments. As we wait for more of our video to come in, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the New York City Mayor de Blasio, and Representative Velasquez join immigration advocates and others to call for passage of H.R. 6, the American Dream and Promise Act of 2019. This is going on live right now in the Lower East Side of the Tenement Museum in New York City. So let's jump into that press conference right now.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Jennings and I'm president of the Tenement Museum. It gives us tremendous pleasure to welcome you here this morning for this event on behalf of H.R. 6. The Tenement Museum for 31 years has told the uniquely American stories of immigrants.
Phones down.
The Tenement Museum for 31 years has told the uniquely American stories of immigrants, migrants, and refugees in the ongoing creation of our nation in order to fulfill our vision of a country that embraces the fundamental role of immigration in the ongoing American story. That is why we are pleased to welcome our elected officials today who are working to continue the story of America by advancing H.R. 6, which will create a pathway to citizenship for hundreds of thousands of deserving Americans. We believe at the Tenement Museum that immigration makes America great. And we're honored to welcome today many of our elected officials who share our point of view, including Representative Espaillat, Representative Nadler, Representative Maloney, Representative Clark, our Mayor de Blasio, our host today, Representative Velasquez, and the leader of the free world, Speaker Nancy Pelosi. And with that, we welcome to the room our host for this today, our Congresswoman here on the Lower East Side and a longtime honorary trustee of the Tenement Museum, Representative Nydia Velasquez.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez. And I am so honored to be in this, one of the finest institutions in Manhattan, the Lower East Side Tenement Museum. Indeed, we work together with some of my colleagues to pass legislation to include this institution into the National Park Service. We have a lot of students who come through this institution and a lot of tourists to learn the immigration, the experience that some of the immigrants' families live by staying in this tenement museum. Well, it used to be a tenement, now it's a museum. Thank you all for being here today, making your voices heard for our immigrants, brothers and sisters. Let me especially thank Speaker Pelosi, who you will hear from in just a moment, and Mayor de Blasio. Both of you are strong advocates and champions for immigrant communities, not only in New York, but elsewhere. I should also thank Lucille Roybal-Allard from California, who is not here today, but is also one of the architects of this legislation. Let me also acknowledge and thank Make the Road New York and their executive director, Javier Valdez. While Javier is traveling today, Make the Road was instrumental in working with me on the TPS portion of this bill, so I wanted to salute them. Today, we are gathered in the Lower East Side Tenement Museum this local institution celebrates the waves of immigrants, generations that have arrived in New York, carved out a foothold, labored to build a better life, and in the process, make New York what is today, an America stronger and more vibrant. In fact, immigrants make America, America. Yes. This museum celebrates a simple yet beautiful, distinctly American idea that anyone can come here from any corner of the globe. And if you work hard, play by the rules, and contribute to your community, then you are an American. Today, we're going to hear from a few immigrants who are in that situation. They have worked hard, they have been here for years, they have deep roots in their communities, but because of Donald Trump's hateful anti-immigrant policies, they now live in fear that they will face deportation and potentially be separated from their families. But guess what? We are not going to let that happen. As sometimes I say, for New Yorkers, immigrants are our neighbors, and New Yorkers stand up for our neighbors. That is why I have joined with Congresswoman Roybal Allard and Yvette Clarke to author H.R. 6, the American Dream and Promise Act. This legislation essentially says to the young dreamers, if you came here under the age of 17, and you have been here for 4 or more years nonstop, then you can stay in the U.S. If you are in that same situation and you have been employed most of the time, or you have served in our military, or have obtained or are working toward your college degree, then you can apply for legal permanent residence. And from there, you may pursue a path to citizenship. These young people are some of our hardest workers. They are American in every way, except on paper. They are exactly the kind of immigrants we want in this nation, and this bill will help them stay here. Our bill has similar provisions for recipients of TPS, or Temporary Protected Status, or DED, Defend Enforced Departure. If you have been here in the U.S. for 3 years, then you can apply for legal permanent residence, and from there, you pursue citizenship. When we talk about our TPS and DED populations, we're talking about some of our most vulnerable neighbors. These are people who fled natural disasters and or political violence. They came here with the heartfelt belief that the words inscribed at the base of the Statue of Liberty, just 3 miles from here, give me your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, are not a hollow tourist attraction. These words are a sacred American compact, etching to the character of our nation. They are a promise we still honor. And we are going to prove that to the dreamers, TPS recipients, and those in the DED program. The legislation I helped author currently has 210 co-sponsors in the House of Representatives. In coming days, we are going to push for additional sign-on. Then I expect it will move through the Judiciary Committee, Jerry Nadler's committee, and not long after that, it will pass on the House floor. But part of the reason we're here today is to amplify the importance of this bill to our Senate Republican colleagues. I know there are senators on the other side of the aisle who privately acknowledge this is the right thing to do. It is my hope when this bill clears the House that they will feel the need to stand up, do the right thing, and help pass it into law. This is the American way, and it is the right thing to do. With that, let me turn it over. And now we will hear from a great champion, our mayor of New York, Mayor Bill de Blasio.
I want to first say we are so blessed to have as one of our representatives in the Congress such an extraordinarily passionate leader on behalf of all of the immigrants who have made this city and this nation great. Let's thank Nydia Velázquez for her leadership. I just want to start with a very quick story. It's a story of a couple named Giovanni and Anna. And they lived very near to here. And they came to this country from very small towns in southern Italy. And they would not have been acceptable in the eyes of our president. You know, the president likes to talk about, quote unquote, chain migration as a derogatory term, people following their families to the United States to make a better life. This couple followed family members, came here. And they would not have met the president's definition of people who could contribute. They did not speak English. They did not have advanced degrees. They didn't have jobs worked out in advance. They came here with love for their family, with heart, with soul, with passion, with energy, with a desire to work hard. And I am so proud to say they were my grandparents. And they lived near to here. They lived near here. And even though neither one of them ever could have dreamed of college, all of their daughters went to college. And I have the tremendous honor of being here as your mayor because of their hard work, their sacrifice, the risk they took. And everyone in this room could tell their own version of that story. So we have to keep that in mind because there's a blunt reality that we have to face in this country. That we have to either accept that immigration has made us strong across generations and generations, regardless of race or country of origin, or we're going to live in a hypocrisy. And there's acceptable hypocrisy from my point of view. Where we say that yesterday's immigrants were worthy, but today's are not somehow. So I believe that people in this country understand quite well that we have thrived because of immigration, that it has made us strong, and that they know our dreamers in particular need to be protected. We see it over and over again that is in the heart of the American people, and that's why this legislation is legislation as time has come. Very quickly want to say what this means. You know, for hundreds of thousands of families, they still live in doubt. They live in pain. They live in fear. I've talked to them right here in our city, but I've talked to them around the country. Imagine if you're doing everything right, but you don't know if you'll get to stay. Anybody who has not spoken to a dreamer or someone here on TPS, just trying to make ends meet, trying to help their family back home, if you haven't spoken to them and heard their hearts, it's hard to imagine what this means in human terms. But our nation's policies are creating fear among our own people because these are our own people. And we have to be clear, these are our neighbors, these are our brothers and sisters. In this city, we're proud to be a city of immigrants, and we also put the lie to the notion that somehow immigrants are a drag on our nation or on our economy. In this city, we have the strongest economy we ever had. We have the lowest crime we have ever had since the 1950s, and we have the most immigrants we have had in a century. Put those pieces together. Immigrants helped us to become stronger, safer, more prosperous. Now, finally, something's starting to change in our national discussion because the people spoke in November 2018. The people thought we needed a new Speaker of the House. And we needed a new majority in the House. And can I just take one personal point of privilege as an Italian American to say, Speaker, in the entire history of the American people, and Italians have been here since the 1700s, but you are literally the Italian American who reached the highest heights in the history of this nation, and we are so proud of you. God bless you. To Speaker Pelosi, to Congress members Velasquez and Clark and Nadler, Maloney, your leadership means so much. And we need you right now, and all those folks that I mentioned are depending on you. Well, the good news is it's in your heart and soul to make sure that people are protected for the good of this whole nation. Because these are folks who are part of our communities, who help make us stronger, who help our economy to be stronger. They are our neighbors, they are our friends. And a quick message to all Dreamers in New York City, to all TPS recipients, to anyone who would be positively affected by this legislation. I want you to know that we in New York City, while we are waiting for change in Washington, we have your back in New York City. We will protect you. We will not ask your documentation status. Our police never ask your documentation status. They work with all people, all immigrants. Our hospitals, our schools, we respect everyone and want everyone to thrive. If anyone feels they are being threatened by deportation, if anyone fears that their family is in danger and they need help, you can call 311 for free legal advice and for representation. That is a policy of this city. You just call and you say Action NYC, and help will be given to you in whatever language you speak. So here's our way of sending a message to Washington. We believe in these good people who are our neighbors. We will stand by them. The country is still sorting itself out on these issues. We are proud in New York City to be a beacon. I hope to be an antidote to the challenges that we see out there. This city shows that respect for all people is the way forward for this country as well. Now, a few quick words in Spanish. Las políticas federales. It's going to be with an Italian accent because the speaker. Las políticas federales afectan a familias, amigos y compañeros de trabajo y estudios en nuestra ciudad de inmigrantes. Por eso, estamos aquí unidos para pedir la aprobación de la ley federal de la promesa y el sueño americano. Quiero decirle a los inmigrantes, nuestra ciudad está con ustedes. Llamen al 311, pregunten por Acción NYC y les daremos la ayuda que necesitan en su idioma. We're here to help, and we're here to support our immigrant brothers and sisters. And when this legislation passes, we will be a better, wholer nation. With that, it is my great honor to bring forward Steve Choi.
Good morning, everybody. And on behalf of the New York Immigration Coalition, I want to thank Speaker Pelosi for coming across the country. Even though you're from California, we still love you here in New York. But Speaker Pelosi has made it a priority for the new House of Representatives to talk about justice for immigrants, and we are thankful for that. And I also want to thank the rest of our amazing congressional delegation, Congress members Carolyn Maloney, Jerry Nadler, and of course our champions, Yvette Clark and Nydia Velasquez. Yvette Clark has been working on justice for TPS holders for years. And Nydia Velasquez, thank you, Yvette. And Nydia Velasquez, what can you say? If there is a fight to be taken to Donald Trump, you want La Luchadora at the front of that fight. Friends, this legislation is a shining example of what happens when you get elected officials and champions working together with advocates. And I want to recognize that there's so many organizations here in New York who have fought for so many years on these issues. Groups like ADICAR, African Communities Together, the Asian American Federation, Haitian Women for Haitian Refugees. The list goes on and on. CPC, the Chinese American Planning Council, Min Kwan Center, Atlas DIY. There are so many organizations that have fought this fight for years. And on behalf of those organizations and the NYSC, I am proud to announce today that we are launching a statewide campaign to get every single member of the New York congressional delegation to sign on to this bill, because that is what we need. And let me tell you why we need that in New York. It's because there are 100,000 young New Yorkers and 26,000 TPS holders right here in the state of New York who could benefit from this. And what does this bill mean for them? It means hope. It means the promise of a secure future. It means that they can put down roots and achieve the kind of brighter, secure, and more prosperous future that they deserve. And that is critical for those hundreds of thousands of young New Yorkers. And that is why we are going to be fighting for this. And the crystallization, the example of that is really one person that I'd like to introduce. Her name is Vanessa. She has been here for more than 25 years. And she came to Cabrini Immigrant Services a couple years ago. And Cabrini is an amazing organization just a couple blocks from here, working with immigrant communities on the Lower East Side. And she got help on her DACA. And that is what this legislation means to people like Vanessa. It means hope, and it means the promise of a brighter future. So please join me in welcoming Vanessa to the podium.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. First of all, thank you, Lydia, and our speaker, Nancy, for being here. My name is Vanessa. I am 28 years old. I am a DACA recipient. I've been here since I was 2.5. So needless to say, New York City is my only home. When I think of a DREAM Act, I think of being here permanently. I think of being considered an American. I think of all the struggles my family has gone through, all the struggles my family continues to go through, for one single reason, and that is to be considered an American, just like all of you. The DREAM and Promise Act is a permanent solution. It gives us a pathway to citizenship. It means that dreamers like us wouldn't be stuck in the limbo when DACA is unfairly terminated, when they take us through emotional roller coasters in and out of the courthouses. It also means that I am not scared to go out and work and study. I can come home to my child every night. It means that I can give a stability that my family doesn't have at this moment. It means that there's more than, I don't know how many of us I know in this struggle that fight and talk and always on the front lines for any type of support that we get from these amazing Congress members. So with that said, we want a clean DREAM Act. We want a clean solution. We don't want to harm any of our immigrant communities. Those communities include our parents, our sisters, our brothers, and even if they're not our brothers, we consider them, because us as streamers consider TPS, DED, our brothers and sisters. We would never want a solution that means that it would harm them, that it would mean breaking up mixed status families. So today I want to ask all our congressmen to please sponsor this bill. Sponsor our wonderful and fierce Lydia Velasquez, our Congress member. She is the fierce person that has come forward with this, that has always supported our immigrant communities here in the Lower East Side, and continues to do so without us ever expecting more from her. So I ask, sponsor the bill. Vote for a clean HR .6. Vote for it to not harm anybody else, to not add on anything that will include border security or anything that will hurt our families in any way. Just think that at the heart of this, there's people like us streamers, our TPS, that have been here for more than 20 years, that know no other home but this one. And if we were sent back to a home that we don't know, that's not a solution. That's a problem. So thank you very much. So please welcome our speaker, Phyllis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vanessa, for sharing your story with us, for the courage that you have and the difference that you are making. I join you in saluting Congresswoman Velasquez. So glad to be here with her and our colleague who is the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus Immigration Task Force, Yvette Clark. And Yvette Clark is very important in our life. We're all happy to hear that Mr. Chairman, whose committee this will come out of, Jerry Nadler, our chairman of the Judiciary. I know that Carolyn Maloney is here. And Mr. Escalade just joined us. Congressman Escalade, chair on all of these issues, and an honor to be with you Mr. Mayor. But I know that we're all just happy to be here with Vanessa and Perla and Steve and Hector. They're our VIPs today, and the others who have joined us. Just to place this in a little bit of history, because I want to associate myself with the remarks of everyone who went before, just to confirm that we are all on the same page with this. When the mayor talked about our Italian-American heritage, people make a fuss that I'm the first woman speaker, but the first Italian-American speaker. That means all I can do well. But when people came here, and they were in these tenements, they were Irish, they were German, they were Italians, they were Jewish, the list goes on. They were Chinese, and others that came after. But when the Italians were here, they were called WAPs. WAPs. And you know what that means? Without papers.
That's right.
And that's all we're talking about right now. People are without papers. We would hope that all of those who then got their papers will be there to help others get theirs. Nydia Velázquez, let's go back to a while back. Nydia Velázquez was chair of the Hispanic Caucus. The bill, the DREAM Act, was put forth by Lucille Roma Allard of California, as was indicated. And Nydia was a force behind passing it in the House of Representatives, just going member to member to member. In fact, the whole Hispanic Caucus went member to member to member. It wasn't easy. This was a while ago. And she was successful, and she has never given up on this. And now expanded to the work that Yvette Clarke is doing on temporary protected status. It's ridiculous. People have been here a long time, contributed to the greatness of America. And then the DED, which is urgent. It's just a matter of days. So this legislation, the DREAM and Promise Act, is urgent for our country. You know all the provisions. I won't go into it because others have and will. The personal stories that you will heard from Vanessa, heard from Perla, and others today are the most eloquent reasons why we should pass this legislation. But as Nydia said, these immigrants, when immigrants come here with their hopes and dreams and aspiration and determination to make the future better for their families, that optimism, that courage, their American traits, and all of these immigrants make America more American. So to be here, Kevin, thank you. Kevin Jennings, thank you for your hospitality here at this tenant museum. I feel some vibes coming through the ground here. Of all of those hopes and dreams that existed in this building and then went on to help build America. But don't take our word for it. I'm just going to read you in closing from Ronald Reagan. The president I quoted most, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, I know that.
Let me just say how honored I am to be here with Mayor de Blasio. He makes us all very, very proud across the country. Not just because he's Italian American, but his housing or immigrants, you name the subject. This is what Ronald Reagan said. I'm not going to read the whole quote.
Down, please.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. It's okay with me. I don't know. I refer Ronald Reagan's last speech. This is the last speech I will make as President of the United States, he said. I refer that to you. Go see it on the website because it's a beautiful speech. I'll just say this much of it. Thanks to each wave of new arrivals to this land of opportunity, we're a nation forever young, forever bursting with energy and new ideas, and always on the cutting edge, always leading the world to the next frontier. This quality is vital to our future as a nation. If we ever close the door to new Americans, our leadership in the world would soon be lost. So Ronald Reagan, George Herbert Walker Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, up until now, all of the modern presidents have understood what immigration means to America and the constant reinvigoration of our country. Right now, we're in a little bit of a difficult situation, but we shall overcome it. And we have many more witnesses to, people to bear witness to the need for all of this. But I'll follow the mayor's lead and say some words in Spanish. Si se puede. With that, I'm very pleased to yield the floor to the distinguished chairman of the Judiciary Committee, a man that's going to make it happen on his committee as we bring it to the floor, a person committed to the constant reinvigoration of America by way of our immigration policy. Aren't we proud of New Yorker, Mr. Chairman, Jerry Nadler?
Thank you very much, Nancy. This is a question of simple justice, not of high policy, but of simple justice and simple humanity. When you're talking about people who have lived here since they were 2.5 years old, who don't remember another country, it is simple cruelty to take it away from them. And it is cruelty that is unnecessary. It serves no purpose. Governments sometimes must do cruel things. We seek to minimize that, but sometimes governments must do harsh things. But government should never indulge in gratuitous cruelty. Cruelty to people for no beneficial purpose whatsoever. And that's what we're talking about. When we're talking about the dreamers, we're talking about the people who are here from TPS, people who have been here for 20, 30 years, people who grew up here, people who know no other country. What benefit to the United States is gained by deporting them? What benefit to anybody is gained? It is simply gratuitous cruelty. And a great country like the United States should not be cruel, should not be gratuitously cruel, and should be just. And that this bill is a matter of simple justice and simple decency. And it's not more complicated than that. References are always made, to the poem by Emma Lazarus on the Statue of Liberty, "Give me your tired, your huddled, your masses yearning to breathe free." But I'll go to a different quote on the Liberty Bell, an older quote on the Liberty Bell, hanging in San Francisco, in Philadelphia. In Philadelphia is the Liberty Bell. And on the Liberty Bell is a quote from the Bible. It says, "Thou shalt proclaim liberty throughout the land, and unto all the inhabitants thereof," to all the people who live there. Not to the citizens, not to the distinguished, but to everyone who lives there. And that's what we're talking about. Immigration policy in general, you can debate how many immigrants we should admit each year. You should debate what the priorities of different groups are. Those are legitimate subjects for debate. It is not a legitimate subject of debate to say, let's tear apart families. Let's take people who've lived here all their lives, or who've lived there for 30 years and have, since a disaster in their home countries, and have grown families here and put down roots here, and have become pillars of their community. Let's tear them apart. That's not a subject for debate. That's simple cruelty. So I am very, very happy to endorse this bill, to support this bill. We had a hearing on the subject in the Judiciary Committee a few weeks ago. We will have a markup to report the bill before the end of April. And I anticipate the bill being on the floor of the House sometime in May. We will pass it. We will do justice. We will do mercy. And then we will see what we can do to see the United States Senate upholds the greatness of this country. Now I have the distinct honor of introducing the head of 32BJ, Hector Figueroa.
Buenos días, familia. I want to welcome, bienvenida, our leader Pelosi to New York City. I want to thank Congressman Nadler, Maloney, Clark, Velasquez, Espaillat, everyone. I hope I'm not leaving anyone behind. And our good allies from the New York Immigration Coalition, Made the Road, ADICAR, African Communities Together, and many other groups. And particularly a salute and also an invitation to our friends from labor, all the labor unions that are here, our own members in 32BJ. We are 172,000 members across 11 states, and we belong to a union of 2 million members of SEIU, but we're part of a bigger movement of over 60 million union workers, and we need to make this a priority. I know we can do this. We can get the Dream and Promise Act passed if we all work together to that end.
Yes.
This immigration is a labor issue. Immigration is a labor issue. Dream and promise, sueños y promesas, is a labor issue. Because it is not just about the dreamers or the promise to make sure that TPS recipients can be here in this country, DED recipients. It's also about the dream and the promise that they represent to our country and to our economy. The dreams that they have for themselves are our dreams. The promises that they make to work hard, pay taxes, and make our communities stronger is the promise of America. And we cannot betray that promise, and we cannot shatter that dream. We have to pass sueños y promesas, no matter what the politics of the moment and the tactical calculations in Congress. We ask Republicans and Democrats alike to do what is right for these members of our communities, members of our unions. We have to make Dream and Promesas really true and factual. It needs to happen. Can we do that?
Yes.
Sí se puede, ¿verdad? There is nothing temporary about these fellow Americans. There's nothing temporary about these workers. And I want you to meet some of them, because it's really about them. And being about them means that it's about us. What kind of a country, what kind of a place America is to be. So I'd like you to listen carefully to their stories, to the words of 32 BJ member Perla Canales from Honduras. Please come here to join me. And to our sister Howard Johnson from Liberia, a DED student. She's working on her PhD. And then Anil Shahi, who is from Nepal, member of Adhikar, and also has graduate degrees, and he is really, really representative of what are the people that we have to keep here in our country, contributing, and let's fight for each and one of them. Sadiq, come here.
Gracias. Good morning, everybody. My name is Perla Canales. I'm from Honduras. I have TPS for 20 years. In 1998, I got it. My life is this country. I live here for 27 years. I hope so soon pass this bill, because thank you, everybody. Really, I'm so happy to be here. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm very excited because I hope to soon pass this one, because I want to pass Christmas for my family and my country. That's number one. And the second one, I want to still contribute for this country. This is my home, and I have a good job. My benefits, everything. It's my life over here. And I'm not thinking about it, but my country is very dangerous. Honduras, Central America is very dangerous right now. And I'm scared, and I'm thinking same to me in my country. Because I have family here too, anyway. My daughter, my granddaughters. And I don't want to live in here, my family too. And I can bring to my country too, because it's very dangerous. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Nidia. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much to support with me, like my people working too. Thank you so much.
So, I guess you take questions now?
No.
Let me Howard can say
No,
if you wish.
no.
Or Yvette Clark. Yeah, Congressman Clark.
But she's
Howard.
not staying.
Yeah. You want to say just yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Sure, I'll come up and say a few things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then it's Congressman.
As a Liberian National in DED, I think this is the most exciting thing that's happened for me in a very long time. We've had a lot of ups and downs with renewal of DED and things like that. It just really made it really difficult to even complete your PhD studies when you can't work anymore because, your EAD was delayed by a couple of months. And, working, your boss constantly asking you, so is your DED going to be renewed? Or when you're getting pushed out of a company because, they don't really think your DED is going to be renewed this time because, they've heard that, they've canceled it. And so I think this is an important time for me. I think this is the most support I've seen. When you're struggling in your family, you're the only one in DED, and you think, there's no support out there, and I'm not one to tear up very often, and I think I'm tearing up a bit here because, I just feel so supported by so many people here, and I want to say that I don't even wear a hijab usually, but just fear of being, talked about at work or, something like that. I said, I'm not going to come up here and show my face. And so I'm job hunting as well. And I just didn't want to be, excluded from that opportunity just because they're afraid that, DED may not be renewed. And so I just want to tell everyone here, thank you so much for the support. It's really meaningful to me. I've been in the U.S. for 20 years. And, potentially I could call it home, but we'll see. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, my name is Anil. I'm from Nepal, a TPS holder since 2015. And I've been here for 29 years. And throughout those years, all of it in New York, by the way, and I've been doing all kinds of odd jobs because I didn't have a status. And my dream was always to get a graduate degree. And you know what? The TPS allowed me to do so. As a matter of fact, I just submitted my thesis just a couple of months ago. I have a master's degree. Thank you. And like I said, I've been living here for 29 years. I've driven cab here. I've done all kinds of odd jobs. And New York is not only about Times Square for me. It's not only about taking the Staten Island ferry to go past the Statue of Liberty. It's about getting off that ferry in Staten Island, take a local bus to get to my work. It's about eating chorizos out in Corona off a street vendor. You see, I even know what the direction of Corona is from here. Brooklyn, Staten Island, Bronx. So New York is really my home. And after I got my TPS, I even went back home for a brief visit. And I realized my heart is always here, right here in New York. And again, like everyone said, thank you so much, Speaker Pelosi, everyone else who's been with us. And it means a lot. All the organizations that are involved. I'm with Adhikar, of course. And and everyone else who's involved in this, thank you so much, and I hope we will do it, and I'm sure, not only hope, I'm sure we will do it.
So our next speaker, and you have to accept, these workers are going through a lot, right? So let's give them another hand for sharing this story. Our next speaker is a sister who recently, alongside with Congressman Espaillat and Congressman Velázquez, helped reunite one of our members, Babasila, who was separated from his family. She's a champion of immigrant rights for the longest. It's my pleasure to introduce Congresswoman Yvette Clark.
Thank you very much, Hector. Let me again welcome our speaker, who's been a fearless champion for close to a decade, if not more, for comprehensive immigration reform. Her leadership strengthens all of our spines in this fight for righteousness. Let me also take this opportunity to herald my mentor, a woman who has done extraordinary work making sure that we hold together in the fight for comprehensive immigration reform, who helped to craft H.R. 6, a sister in the delegation, the Honorable Nydia Velasquez. And of course, our leader, Lucille Roybal Allard, who the three of us together have brought forth the Dream and Promise Act. And it's so critical at this time that we all stand together to make sure that this bill passes. This is about our collective humanity. And like our mayor, and I'd like to acknowledge him for all of the work that he's done, also acknowledge the chairman of our Judiciary Committee, Jerry Nadler, and of course Congresswoman Maloney and Congressman Espaillat. You know, as we talk about this issue, I don't want it to seem as though it's just about legislation and all the great things that it brings. It talks to the soul of who we are as a people, as a nation. And, you know, I think about, you know, 2 Caribbean immigrants who came to the United States in the 1950s, didn't have a map, came as a result of being foreign students, had English, but also had their own sort of patois, if you will, trying to navigate how to raise 2 children in the United States of America, a nation they really didn't know themselves, but were becoming more and more American with each day. And how they had to figure out their careers, their education, navigating their American dream. Part of that meant you had to know who your neighbors were. You had to extend beyond your immediate surroundings to understand, to learn what it is to be American. And it also meant that they had to do everything in their power to become citizens. And so as their lives became more and more transformed, they were engaged in the communities in which they lived. They fought for social justice. One of those parents, one of those immigrants, decided that she was going to use her voice to amplify the voices of many immigrants, many who look like me, many who oftentimes get caught up because of racial profiling and a whole host of other issues that snatch them out of communities, snatch them out of families. She raised her voice so loud that she became the first foreign-born woman elected to the New York City Council in 1991, and that was my mother. And so the Dream and Promise Act is real to me. It is real to the people that we represent across the length and breadth of this nation, but the 9th Congressional District is ground zero for the type of havoc that has been unleashed by Donald Trump. The families you've heard in TPS tend to be blended families, tend to be families where someone is a resident, someone is a citizen, and someone is here on TPS or DACA. Someone is here because their departure was deferred. So it is our responsibility, if we're going to move forward, and we are, as a nation, bound together by immigrants, bound together by families and communities that make this American dream real in each and every one's lives, it's critical that we pass H.R. 6. And so the word here today is don't come clapping, go out there tweeting. Go out there with the first fierce urgency of now, because these families can't wait. Liberians will be removed from their benefits by March 31st. March 31st. This is real. It's happening in our communities as we speak, not only here in New York, but across this nation. So I want to thank all of the advocates, 32BJ and Hector Figueroa, Make the World Road by Walking. There's so many advocacy organizations that are out there and have been out there doing this work. It is now time for our legislative body, our national legislative body, to act. What we're asking for is not anything extraordinary. Generations of others have come before us. without papers. And they have made Americans. They have made us all Americans. It is now our time, our generation's time, to do what those who have come before us have done, make more Americans. And that's what we're in the midst of doing. So it is my honor to be here with you as we go into this battle to pass H.R. 6 and to say to each and every one, it's not enough to come out and to sit and watch the press conference, or those of you who may be viewing it. Let us make sure that we get this legislation passed. It is now my honor to bring forth once again our fearless leader, Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez.
Thank you.
En español.
Sí, bueno, buenos días. Estamos aquí con la líder, Nancy Pelosi, una mujer comprometida, y el alcalde Bill de Blasio. Ambos han sido campeones peleando por traer justicia para los inmigrantes en los Estados Unidos. También tenemos a la delegación de Nueva York, incluyendo, of course, Adriano Espaillat y todos los demás, Jerry Nadler, la congresista Carolyn Maloney, y Beth Clark, que es coautora de esta legislación. Estamos aquí para decirle a los Estados Unidos y a la administración de Donald Trump: vamos a traer justicia y vamos a honrar los valores que traen los inmigrantes a los Estados Unidos. Estados Unidos es Estados Unidos por la contribución y la tradición de lo que ha hecho este país, América. Y eso han sido todos ustedes. Vamos a hacerlo en mayo. Ustedes pueden contar que vamos a estar en la Cámara de Representantes votando por esta legislación. And now I'm going to yield 30 seconds to Congressman Espaillat.
Madam Speaker, those are 30 seconds for sure. I got another 20.
And you know that I'm holding the gavel.
Wow. Orchard Street. Wow. I used to come here as a young man, really, to negotiate my leather jackets. Right? That was a New York City tradition. I used to come from another part of the world, Washington Heights, to negotiate my $20 leather jacket right here. And so this is a new time. We've been for far too long on defense. But we got a new sheriff in town. And her name is Nancy Pelosi. And so Nydia Velázquez, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, and Congresswoman Alar from California, they have a bill. It's H.R. 6. It's about the soul of our nation, who we are. And we're going to fight tooth and nail for all of us, for this city, for this country that has harbored dreams and aspiration, and it's a factory of dreams that allow me to come here and buy a $20 leather jacket. God bless you and keep the faith. 29 seconds.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and to all the speakers, all the organizations, all the activists, and to the Dreamers, TPS, and DED holders. Now we're going to open the floor for any questions that you may have. Yes.
One of the chances of getting this through the Senate, and presumably it might be vetoed by the president, an override. I mean, what are we thinking?
Nancy? Well, look, this is one way where we are going to continue. Public opinion is everything.
Yeah.
So what we need is what the polls are showing us, that the American people believe that this is the right thing to do. And so today, what we are asking is everyone to knock on doors, particularly no one from New York, every member from New York should be a co-sponsor of this bill. Even in upstate New York, where farmers are telling us that they cannot find workers, and therefore consumers will be paying more for their groceries. It's the right thing to do. And for those who are going to face re-election in the Senate, they need to listen to their constituents. Yes.
Well, I associate myself with the remarks of Congresswoman Velasquez. May I call her Madam Chair of the Small Business Committee, the first Latina ever to chair a committee in the Congress. Let me acknowledge Assemblywoman Simon, who is here. Thank you for being there so many times. The Congresswoman said it very clearly. Public sentiment is everything. Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, I'm quoting all these Republican presidents. Abraham Lincoln. Public sentiment is everything, he said. With it, you can accomplish almost anything. Without it, practically nothing. But the public sentiment is there. Now, 80-90% of the public support the Dreamers, and now the TPS and DED is part of all of that. So what we have to do is make sure the public knows what the choice is in the Congress, as the Congresswoman said. And I'm optimistic that the Senate, because the senators passed comprehensive immigration reform in a bipartisan way a number of years ago, they have a better sensitivity to the diversity of their states than some of our colleagues on the Republican side have to diversity in their own districts. So I'm optimistic. We're not passing this as a message. We're passing this as a measure to make a difference in people's lives. But again, inside the newsroom, you can only go so far. Outside mobilization gives us hope. That's the key, as the Congresswoman said.
Speaker Pelosi, you were given this chance to perhaps negotiate on DACA during the last CR fight. Why take it up now when it seems like the Senate is just going to take this into POA, basically?
No, that wasn't. The DACA recipients did not want us endangering their parents and other immigrants in our country by what the Republicans might have put into such a bill. That was a decision that was made by all of us to just go forward with what we had done. No, that wasn't even an option for us.
Madam Speaker, since you talked about so many presidents, I wonder how you feel about Bill de Blasio running for president.
The New York Press Corps is very welcoming.
As I always say, when somebody is serious about running, I'll be serious about commenting on it. And I think the Brother Mayor is serious about it, but when he makes his announcement, then I'll answer your question. Thank you.
Well handled.
Yes.
Speaker Pelosi, are there specific GOP senators that you're planning on targeting to get them to vote for this when it eventually goes to the Senate?
Well, thank you for watching Fox 29 News Now this morning. You can catch us again tomorrow around 10 a.m. and make sure you watch our broadcast tonight for all the latest and breaking news at 5, 6, 10, and 11. Happy first day of spring.